Hi, Brent here at thetooljungle.com. Today I'm introducing to you the new Venom hybrid 3-step pads. 1, 2, and 3. The pattern has like a floral sunset kind of sunburst pattern. The pads are extremely flexible. Out of all the 3-step pads I've ever seen on the market, by far the most flexible 3-step pads. To give a little breakdown, in case you're not familiar with 3-steps, really simple. The reason why people use 3-step pads is that if you use 3-step pads in a shop, you eliminate a lot of steps. By eliminating a lot of steps, that lowers your labor cost and saves time. So now what your production was in an hour with traditional 7 to 8 piece, 9-piece set pads, your production rate can increase almost anywhere between 30% to 50% increase in production in the same amount of time. So not only does your production rate go up in that time, you also save labor costs because the work's getting done at a quicker rate. So that was basically the concept of 3-step pads, to have the same result in the least amount of time. So with that being said, the cost savings with 3-step pads are astronomical. If you can get your shop guys to use them, you'll save a ton of time. So with the Venom 3-step pads, it's kind of a breakdown of why you only need 3-step pads. Number 2, I have it stamped on here, hybrid. Hybrid for the Venom series means it works wet or dry. In a shop, you very rarely ever need it to run dry, so it always works better wet. But when you do need to use these pads dry, they are a lifesaver. And the time you're might need to use them dry is in the install crews. I have almost all my shops, all their install crews definitely use these out in the field because you can use them dry. And so out in the field, a lot of times installing kitchens, there's always some type of minor scratch or blemish that they have to polish out. So they go ahead and polish them out 1, 2, and 3. So this is why I have hybrid on them, and this is why at times you would ever use them dry. The advantage of these 3-step pads, the Venom series, over any pad I've ever seen to date on the market from every company, the Venom 3-step series is the only 3-step pads that I have personally seen that works on everything. All the dark granites to the ruby red to black galaxy to the very lightest white materials to the white marbles, and the most important now, it seems like the trend's doing a lot of quartz. So for a lot of natural quartz and regular engineered quartz, the 3-step pads, the Venom series, works on all the white materials, all the dark. And in the past, in the older days, it took 3 types of pads to work dry or dark on the lights. You had 3 shops using 3 types of 3-step pads to do what this pad can do. So hands down, if you're a shop that has never used 3-step pads or are already using 3-step pads, definitely try the Venom 3-step pads. The price is really good. I think I retail them for like $15.95 on my website. And you'll find that if you do incorporate these pads into your shop, you're going to have all your guys in your shop are going to be more streamlined because you're not going to have tons of types of pads all over the place. And your production is going to increase at a better quality in the least amount of time. Now, with the 3-step pad series with the Venom, if you've never used 3-step pads before, this is going to be more for you to understand. And people already using the 3-step pads, you're already going to know when you buy them how to use them because you're familiar with using 3-step pads. But specifically for people that have not used 3-step pads, I'm going to be explaining really quick on how to get your guys in your shop to use them. When you first bring in the 3-step pads, you tell your guys, hey, look guys, use these pads because if you use these pads, our production is going to increase, which makes better profits. Number 2 is before you use them, you start with a 50 grit pad. I view it like training wheels on a bike. In order to ride a bike, you have to first put training wheels on for a kid to use it. 3-step pads, there is a shortcut and a learning curve shortcut that I can teach you. And what it is you tell them use 50 grit. Go 50 grit, 1, 2, 3, done. And over time, they're going to eventually either leave out the 50 grit or they might still want to use it or incorporate it how they would like. But this is how you definitely get your guys in the shop to start. You just don't say, here guys, try them. You'll get a lot of like adverse feedback. Oh, it didn't work. don't even go there. Say start with 50 grit, then 1, 2, 3. So that's how that works. Now, if you are already using 3-step pads and your guys have learned them and you're a shop that already uses them, at times there's always situations where you might need another pad. So in order to help you in those situations, I've already helped with the learning curve with this. I'm going to introduce now 2 more pads, the Venom Coarse and the Venom High Gloss. Now these 2 pads, whether you do 3 steps or not, every single customer in the United States, every shop should use these 2 pads. If you're not using 3-step pads, still use all your regular pads 50. But instead of ever using a buff after 3,000, you'll find that this new technology of diamond on the hybrid can produce the most perfect high gloss when you need it. So we have the high gloss, and at times someone needs a very fast cutting smooth like 50 grit, but not coarse, not too coarse. This is what this is. This is a coarse pad. So this is really great in getting out deep scratches. So how do you use these with the 3 steps? Real easy. If you're doing a job or if you're doing your edges and you have deep lines, first go coarse, coarse, 1, 2, 3. And then at times you might be doing a material that's just not getting the gloss enough, and then you're going to use high gloss. So it's 3-step pads. That's the series 1, 2, 3, but I have the 2 add-ons. For the extra pop or extra shine, you throw on the Venom High Gloss. And for at times where the 1 isn't just cutting it, you're still getting lines, start with the coarse. And the customers that use pretty much all 5 of these, almost a lot, or always have them in their toolboxes, definitely the install crews, because when you use pads dry, sometimes you need a little bit more oomph on them to get them as effective as working wet. So hands down, a great choice. And hands down for every shop out there to first bring these into your shop. And what's great about it is if your guys are already using regular grits, that's not a problem. Just say, look guys, start using these pads on the harder challenging material or the light. Over time, before you know it, they're going to be using these pads and only asking you, hey, we want the Venom 3 steps. We want the ones that work on everything. And right now with this industry where it's moving, where the materials are so diverse, now you're doing decked in, Lapitech, porcelains, nano glass, all this new material that's coming out there. Shops now are very overwhelmed. They're like, oh man, we're using all these new materials. Like what pads? Like we'd have to have like 4 or 5 different types of polishing pads to do all this. So right now these pads do it all, and if you're right now not using a lot of materials, eventually you are. So it's a good product to eventually start using. So right now if you're a shop and you're basically only using granite engineered stone, still buy these pads, still get familiar with them, because the trends are coming, and there's a lot of new materials out there. So when you get the materials in your shop, you're already prepared for it. So it's like preparing for something coming. So start learning them now before you really need them. It's better to learn them now. That way when you do get to the situation, your guys are going to be, all right, boss, we got it covered. We're going to use the Venom 3-step pads. So hands down, in all my years of doing this, definitely, whether you use 3-step pads or not, buy these ones, because I guarantee your guys in your shop will thank you for it.